Hi, I'm filming on my phone today. I don't know if you're a bit wonky. We'll see how we go. My name is Lucy. I'm an international board certified lactation consultant based on the south coast of England, and today we are going to be talking about signs that you are making plenty of milk for your baby. I am aware that I look like I'm not looking at the camera because the thing's there and I'm looking here and it's just a bit weird. Okay, still getting used to the YouTube thing. Is that better? Do I look like I'm looking at you now? Who knows? Anyway, how do you know your baby's getting enough milk? This is like, when most people contact me, they are concerned that their baby isn't getting enough milk on some level or another. They may feel that the baby's feeding too frequently, not feeding enough, that they should be gaining more weight. It really can be really scary and stressful when you're a new parent, right? And you're trying to figure out, I'm still playing with this. This is not good, is it? You're trying to figure out if what you're doing is working, if you're doing a good job. And you know, the problem with our breasts, of course, is that we can't see inside them, right? We can't figure out how much milk the baby has taken, and then we have to begin to trust our baby and our bodies. And we've typically grown up in a society which teaches us not to trust our bodies as women. So and also a society which has taught us that women can't breastfeed. I mean, how many people do you know who have told you that they couldn't breastfeed? Probably in your own family, your own parents quite likely told you that breastfeeding didn't go very well, or I didn't do it for very long, or, you know. So we're already kind of fighting this societal idea that breastfeeding is challenging and it's not going to work, and then throw into that, you know, a society which likes to measure and weigh and track everything. We can't measure, weigh or track our milk supply. It's really hard, and no wonder people start to worry. I really get it, and I worried about it myself when I was breastfeeding too. But there are some ways we can find out if baby is getting plenty of milk, and the first one you will notice just at home with your baby is whether they are weeing and pooing in a pattern that we would expect. So, with regards to wet nappies, doing their wees, for each day of life until your milk comes in around day 3, day 4, we expect to see one wet nappy. So on the first day of your baby's life, one wet nappy. On the second day, we want 2 wet nappies. On the third day, we want 3 wet nappies. And then when your milk is in, we would hope to see about 6 heavy wet nappies filled with light coloured urine. And by heavy, you know, you can tell that there's some wee in the nappy, right? It feels quite kind of weighty. My husband calls them grenades because you could wrap them up and then kind of launch them across the room, and they're quite satisfying to throw. Heavy wet nappy, about 6 a day. You can get away with 5, you can certainly get away with more than 6. You may find that if your baby is pooing at every breastfeed, you never get a heavy nappy, but there should always be some sort of urine in there, and it should be fairly light in colour. Really important. The other thing that we look for is dirty nappies, and there's a real myth that will not go away, and this myth is that breastfed babies don't need to poo every day. Well, after the first 6 weeks, this might be true. So after the first 6 weeks, your breast milk changes in composition to become more casein dominant. So casein is a type of whey protein in your milk. A type of protein in your milk, sorry, whey being another one. So casein dominance comes in around 6 weeks. Before that, your breast milk is whey dominant, and whey makes things kind of move through the gut quite quickly, including, you know, milk. So baby's going to poo more often in the first 6 weeks because of the whey dominance in your milk. And actually we would hope that they would be pooing at least twice a day, and that the poo would be about the size of an OK or sign or a £2 coin if you're British. You know, and if that isn't happening, yes, okay, for some babies, and I mean a very minority of babies, that's okay. But if your baby is not pooing twice a day, actually you need to be finding out why. Are they getting enough milk? Do they have a condition that's making their stomach or their digestive system or their bowels aren't working as we would expect? We need to rule that out. It's really important. So don't be fobbed off by anybody telling you that it's okay if your baby's not pooing in the first 6 weeks, because actually they should be. So lots of dirty nappies, lots of wet nappies. tell us that milk's going in because we're seeing it come out. That's amazing, fantastic. Your baby's getting milk because it's coming out again. The waste is coming out. There's enough waste produced from, you know, the milk that you're giving a baby that it is coming out the other end. Amazing. That's a really good sign that breastfeeding is going well. Another sign, a really important sign, and the most obvious sign, is weight gain. If your baby is gaining about 30 grams a day, that's about an ounce, or about 200 grams-ish a week, we could go as low as 155 if need be, 155 grams a week, then whatever you're doing is working. Congratulations. Don't stress about it. That's what we're looking for, about 30 grams a day, about an ounce a day, about 200 grams a week. Tell us that baby's gaining weight at the rate we would expect, so of course breastfeeding is working for them. Of course they're getting enough milk. They're putting on the weight. Amazing. Good stuff, mama. The other thing that we look for is breastfeeding comfortable for you? If you are experiencing pain during breastfeeds, then that tells us that the baby's latch might not be quite as good as it could be. And if the latch isn't quite as good as it could be, baby might not be removing quite as much milk as they could be. And this over time could lead to your supply beginning to drop, and then baby slowing down their weight gain or becoming more fussy at the breast and just seeing more problems beginning to emerge. So if breastfeeding is hurting you, please do keep seeking support. At least find out why it's hurting. It's not normal. It's common, but it is a sign that something's just not quite how it should be, and particularly after the first couple of days, you know, so do get that checked out. Normally we can improve pain and therefore improve milk transfer and mean that baby's getting more milk and is probably going to be a bit happier in between feeds as well. Now, another thing we look for, this is a really tricky one, and you know, this will depend on somebody really sitting down with you and someone like myself doing a really close, careful history of what's going on. This is feed frequency. So frequent feeding is super normal. Babies might want to feed every hour. They might want to feed twice in 1 hour if it's hot or they've just woken up, or, you know, why not, right? You know, you probably drink and eat 8-10 times a day if you add up all those little sips of water and those cups of coffee and the little things that you pop in your mouth here and there. Babies are no different. They need to feed frequently. But this is a big but, and it comes with quite a lot of extra stuff with it. If what seems to be normal for your baby is that they feed all the time, and if they're not attached to your breast, they're crying, and this is happening, you know, every day, not just when they're in a growth spurt or they're a bit poorly, that might tell us that something's not quite right with breastfeeding, and you might need someone to take a look and just see if the latch is what it should be, see if your milk supply is where it should be. Cluster feeding is normal. That tends to be a window of time in the evening. You know, lots of feeding during growth spurts is normal, and that can be like they're on the boob or they're crying for a few days during a growth spurt. But what I'm talking about is a baby that is consistently either breastfeeding or crying. Bit of a warning sign. Another warning sign is a baby that isn't feeding very often. Sometimes these babies, you know, as little as 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks will be sleeping through the night, but not really gaining very much weight. And this is because when babies are not getting enough milk and they're not gaining enough weight, they sleep to conserve energy. So very sleepy babies that are missing feeds, also not really gaining very much weight. Perhaps you're not seeing very many dirty nappies. These are signs, again, that perhaps things aren't going quite as well as they should be, so you should be getting support. Now, by support, I mean a lactation consultant like myself, a breastfeeding counsellor, a peer supporter, or a lactation educated health visitor, midwife or doctor. Not everybody who is a health visitor, midwife or doctor has a lot of breastfeeding training. Some of them have had maybe half a day of training. Midwives and health visitors have typically had more and have a good basic understanding of breastfeeding, but don't always have the slightly further training that's needed. They may have experience, they may have the training, but not all of them do. So don't assume that just because somebody's working in the NHS in, you know, in this perinatal period that they are experts in lactation, because they usually are not. And that's not to talk down about them at all, because they are all incredible people doing an amazing job, but lactation isn't generally their specialist area. Specialist area of a lactation consultant, that's why we train for 4 years to be able to do this. Special area for a breastfeeding counsellor, because they've done 2 years of training. So just make sure you're seeking good support, and if the person who is supporting you doesn't seem to be quite getting it, then it's totally fine to seek somebody else. Don't think that, you know, the first person you see is going to be right for your situation, for you, or get to the bottom of your problem. And you may even see more than one lactation consultant before you get to the bottom of your problem, and that's totally okay. None of us mind that. You know, we're fine. We're like, you know, go and see this other colleague of mine. They're really good at this particular area. We don't mind any of that. So to recap this video, if your baby is weeing and pooing, gaining weight, breastfeeding is comfortable, and you're seeing 8, 10, 12 feeds a day roughly, then probably things are going really well. And if anything does seem a bit off, seek support, but make sure you're getting that support from somebody who is lactation educated. I'm going to end this video here because I hear somebody small is coming to join me, but I will see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe and comment. Thank you everybody. Bye bye.